Good evening, everyone, and we're Group 3. And here is Heidi Ju, Nancy Lu, Sierra Lo, and I'm Wendy Ye. And today we're going to discuss culture with you. And as we all know, every culture is different and they should be respected. But different cultures have different countries have different cultures. So if you don't want to be a joke, you better know them well. And now we're going to show you a short drama, and let's take a look at the following situations. Alright, so part 1, action.
Guys, good to see you. This is for you. Thank you.
Alright, ding ding. It is an insult to use left hand for giving or eating because left hand is reserved for hiking. So in South Asia, it's not appropriate.
Part 2, action.
Do you know I went to a restaurant yesterday? The food is so delicious.
Ding ding. In Mexico and many other places, it is typical for a conversation to occur from between two people to close together. It is unfriendly to back away.
Part 3, action.
May I have your order? Oh, it's so hot outside. Do you have any open juice? How about some lemon? Okay, well, what do you have?
Ding ding. In India, a shake of head means yes, and a nod means no.
Part 4, action.
How are you? I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Ding ding. In Holland, it is considered rude to eat while having a conversation.
In Nepal and other countries in South Asia, people treat books with great respect, so you can't put a book on the ground, step over it, or mark on it.
Today we are going to introduce the cultural environment of international business. Let's take a look at our learning objectives. Culture and cross cultural risk. The role of culture in international business. Hostess typology of national culture. Interpretations of culture. Subjective versus objective dimensions of culture. Language as a key dimension of culture. Contemporary issues in culture. Overcoming cross-cultural risk. Managerial guidelines. The four risks of international business. Cross-cultural is a situation or event in which a cultural misunderstanding puts some human value at stake. Misunderstanding and miscommunication arise because people have differing values and expectations. They do not always communicate what the other party is anticipating, or may have different ways of communication. For example, a hate note has different meanings in India and the United Kingdom. Essentials for understanding culture. Religion and language are particularly relevant expressions of culture. Culture is difficult to identify and analyze, but its effects on international business are profound. Culture is evolving constantly and is affected by globalization and many other contemporary trends. Culture is not right or wrong. It is relative. There is no cultural absolute. Different nationalities simply perceive the world differently. Each culture has its own opinions of acceptable and unacceptable. For example, in some Islamic cultures, a wife cannot divorce her husband. In some countries, nudity is acceptable on TV. In Japan and Turkey, wearing shoes in the home is unacceptable. Culture is not about individual behavior. It is about groups. It is a collective phenomenon of shared values and meanings. For example, in most countries, men wear their hair short, but a few have very long hair and stand out among their peers. In many countries, some men wear makeup, but such behavior doesn't represent the cultural values of the larger pollution. Culture is not inherited. It derives from the social environment. We are not born with a shared set of values and beliefs. We acquire them as we grow up. For example, in the United States, children usually acquire values of individualism and Christianity. But in China, children learn to depend on family members and acquire values based on Confucianism. Culture is like an iceberg. The iceberg concept of culture, which uses three layers of awareness: high culture, fall culture, and deep culture. Above the surface, certain features are visible. Below the surface is a massive base of assumptions, attitudes, and values that strongly influence decision-making, relationships, and other dimensions of business. Culture is linked with particular groups based on various factors, including geography, different levels in the world, the nation, the region, cities cause unique cultural perspectives. Ethnicity, for example, example, people of African, India, and Latino heritage tend to perceive reality differently. Gender. Men and women often experience the world differently. Age. Seniors, baby boomers, teenagers, and children perceive their worlds differently. Language. Language both reflect and is reflected by cultural differences. Occupation. Perspectives differ among blue-collar workers, professionals, or artists. Cultural differences in entrepreneurship. It is said that when someone starts a new business in Hong Kong, the whole family works constantly to make it a success. In the United States, friends put up their money for the entrepreneur. In Turkey, friends will ask the entrepreneur to hire their son and nephews. In India, the administrative system will impose monumental red tape. So let's welcome Wendy.
And I'm going to introduce some theories about cultural evaluation. And the first one is Hofstede's typology of national culture. And as you can see, there's 5 dimensions here. And the first one is individualism and collectivism. And people who live in the individualistic culture, they tend to focus on the own self-interest. And on the contrast, people who live in a society in collectivism, they like to cooperate together. And in this kind of culture, compromise will be helpful for the group harmony. And the next one is long-term and short-term orientation. In the long-term orientation society, people like to scheduling or planning. Like Japan, they always have plan B. And in a short-term orientation, it's typically in Western countries. Next one is masculinity and femininity. Masculine culture, they like to value ambition or wealth or competitiveness, like Japan and Taiwan. But in the feminine culture, like Finland, they like to value, they focus on the nurturing growth. Like Finland, their welfare system is highly developed. And the next one is uncertainty avoidance. In the high uncertainty avoidance culture, people don't like risk, and they will minimize the risk, and they like stable careers. For example, Taiwan and Japan. But in the high uncertainty avoidance, managers are comfortable with risk. And it's okay for people to change their jobs frequently. And the next one is power distance. In a high power distance culture, the gap between manager and employee is clear. But in a low power distance culture, manager and employees are relatively equal. And the next one is high context culture and low context culture. In a low context culture, the primary function of speech is express idea. So the communication always direct and straightforward like most of Western countries. But in the high context cultures, they prefer an indirect and polite face-saving style to show the respect to others, such as Taiwan and Japan. And as you can see in this chart, Chinese, Korean, Japanese, they're in a high context culture. So if you want to do a business with them, first of all, you have to establish a social trust with them. But in Germany they are in a low context culture, so get down to business will be better if you want to do a business with them. And now let's welcome Sierra.
Manners and customs are ways of behaving and conducting oneself in public and business situations. And manners and customs are present in eating habits, meal times, work hours and holidays, drinking and toasting, appropriate behavior and social gatherings, gift giving, and much more. And some countries like Australia, Canada, and United States are relatively focused on the present. They have a monochronic view of time. And they focus on schedules, punctuality, and time is linear, time is money. For example, people in the US are hurried and impatient. And some cultures have polychronic view of time. And it is a flexible, non-linear orientation to time. And time is elastic. Long delays are tolerated for them. They accept long delays. And punctuality is relatively unimportant. For examples like Africa and Latin America. Religion is a system of common belief or attitudes concerning higher being or a system of thought. And religion influences cultures and business in various ways. And this exhibit shows the world's major religion in each location. These countries have faith in Christianity, such as Canada, Brazil, and United States, Russia, and Australia. Christianity substantially affects culture and business. For example, Sunday is still regarded as a day of rest, and when most people do not work. Another part is language is essential. It is not only essential for communication, it also provides insights into culture. If people are proficient in languages, it will be a great asset in international business. Next, language is both verbal and nonverbal, and nonverbal includes unspoken facial expressions and gestures. The world has nearly 7,000 active languages, including over 2,000 in each of Africa. And this exhibit shows the most people. This exhibit highlights the world's major languages, and you can see the most people use as their mother language. Number 1 is Chinese, and the number 2 is Spanish. Number 3 is English, and number 4 is Arabic, and number 5 is Hindi. Now let's welcome Nancy.
This part I will introduce you. The same words can convey different meaning in two countries. So I will introduce you meaning difference between US and British English. And the first, redundant. Its meaning in US is repetitive, and its meaning in British is fired or laid off. And the next is scheme. Its meaning in US is somewhat developed plan, and its meaning in British English is a plan. And the next sharp its meaning in US is smart and clever. And its meaning in British is convenient and unethical. And the next whispering. Its meaning in US is a screen that protects against the wind. And its meaning in British English is automobile and windshield. And the next is to table. Its meaning in the US is to put an issue on hold, and its meaning in British is to take up an issue. And the last is to bomb. Its meaning in US is to fail miserably, and its meaning in British is to succeed grandly. And the next part, I will introduce you culture and contemporary issue, the service sectors. Although trade in service is less than trade in products, the service sector is internationalizing rapidly. FDI is the most typical entry strategy. And the most rapidly internationalizing services are lodging, retailing, construction, banking, insurance, publishing, IT, transport, travel, and entertainment. Contact-based service like architecture, consulting, and legal service bring providers into direct contact with foreign customers. And asset-based service include bank, restaurant, and retail stores. Because of close interaction between providers and consumers, culture strongly affects service, especially when the cultural distance is substantial. To overcome this challenge, service firms seek to understand the culture and language of the countries where they do business. For example, at the Global Express company FedEx, management constantly seeks to hire, train, and motivate hundreds of sales representatives who speak different languages, represent different cultures, and serve different markets. Without such efforts, service firms would not likely succeed at international business. Contemporary issue, technology and the internet. Technological advances strongly influence culture. The internet, multimedia, and other communication systems encourage convergence in global culture. Culture is becoming more homogeneous around the world. But the internet promotes local culture by increasing the availability of high culture and folk culture. And ironically, technology also provides the means to promote individual cultures. Artistic traditions from Africa, Asia, and Latin America have received a big boost from the rise of world cinema and television. We can also choose our information sources. People usually prefer information in their native language that represent cultural traits similar to their own. And contemporary issues are cultures converging. There is a little consensus about globalization's effects on culture. On the one hand, critics argue globalization promotes the replacement of indigenous cultures with homogeneous, Americanized cultures. Worldwide consumption patterns are converging. And people in many parts of the world consume the same Big Macs and Coca-Cola, watch the same movies, listen to the same music, they drive the same car and stay the same hotels. For example, food often represents a distinct culture. Hamburgers, tacos, and pizza are increasingly popular around the world. And others argue globalization encourages the worldwide free flow of ideas, beliefs, values, and products. Today, from around the world, people are exposed to a diversity of beliefs, values, approaches, and products, and adopt the best of what the world has to offer. And this part, culture converging or diversifying. And cultural homogeneity and heterogeneity are not mutually exclusive. They generally occur together. But cultural flows are diverse, just as McDonald's is popular in Japan, and so too is Vietnamese food in the United States and Japanese sushi in Europe. And managerial guidelines for cross-cultural success. Acquire factual and interpretive knowledge about the other culture. Try to speak their language. Successful managers acquire a base of knowledge about the values, attitudes, and lifestyles of the cultures with which they interact. A manager studies the political and economic background of target countries, their history, current national affairs, and perceptions about other cultures. Sincere interest in the target culture helps establish trust and respect, laying the foundation for open and productive relationships. Avoid cultural bias. For example, it is easy to be offended when a foreign counterpart does not appreciate our food, history, entertainment, or everyday traditions. In this way, cultural bias can be a significant barrier to successful interpersonal communication. Develop cross-cultural skills, such as perceptiveness, interpersonal skills, and adaptability. Okay, self-reference criteria. The tendency to view other cultures through the lens of one's own cultural understanding. This is the first stage. Critical incident and analysis. A method for analyzing all situations in cross-cultural interactions by developing empathy for other points of view. And the first, identify situations where you need to be carefully aware to interact effectively with people from another culture. And the second, when confronted with changing or awkward behavior, discipline yourself to not make judgments. And the third, develop your best interpretation of the foreigner's behavior and formulate your response. And the last, learn from this process and continuously improve. Okay, the last part. Personality traits for cross-cultural proficiency. And cross-cultural proficiency is characterized by 4 key personality traits. And the first, tolerance for ambiguity. Ability to tolerate uncertainty and lack of clarity in the the second, perceptiveness, ability to closely observe and comprehend subtle information in the speech and behavior of others. And the third, valuing personal relationships, ability to appreciate personal relationships, which are often more important than achieving one-time goals or winning arguments. And the last ability and adaptability, and is the ability to be creative in devising innovative solutions, be open-minded about outcomes, and show grace under pressure. Okay, next part is Q&A time.
Alright, let's ending this boring presentation and wake up, wake up! And we're going to play a game called Matching Idiom. Because we all know sometimes we will use different cultures, we will use different language to interpret the same ideas. So here we prepare some idioms, and in this part we will show you the Chinese idiom. And this part is English idiom. Alright, so you have to match them. Okay. And everyone should compete for yourself, okay? And so the first one. Anyone want to answer it? Which one is the English of that Chinese? 1, 2, 3. Okay.
The second one.
The second one. Okay, correct. And next one. All right. 1, 2, 3. No, no. The last one. Yes. And 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. Which one? Okay. All right. And next one. 1, 2, 3. Okay. No. Eh? Yeah. No. Yes. 4.